Recently, we touched base on laws regarding credit card protections and what you exactly need to know before signing up for one. Well, today we're going to focus on debit card protection. And of course, our legal correspondent, David Lesch, is here once again, and he explains the ins and the outs of debit cards. And I tell you, David, these debit cards can get people into trouble.
Yeah, absolutely true. We're discussing these contractual obligations in our contract law series. And there are consumer protection statutes that protect the average Bronxite and the average New Yorker. And we focused on credit cards the last time I was here, but I didn't get to debit cards. And from what I seem to be hearing from people in the Bronx, more people have a debit card than they have credit cards.
Yes.
Much tougher to get a credit card. You have to show, obviously, good credit history. You sometimes don't have to do that with a debit card. What is a debit card? A debit card is a pre-loaded card with a certain amount of money that you can spend. Usually the debit card is given by a financial institution. It can be given by a store. The good thing about a debit card is that if you don't have the financial wherewithal to get yourself a credit card, you can sometimes, it's a lot easier for you to get something to make these purchases with respect to your average daily life in the Bronx or wherever you're making purchases. So the debit card will help you out. The problem, and the reason I'm discussing it here today, is that there are certain fees that come along with debit cards that most people don't know, and it's those fees that have caused some legislation to be affected throughout Congress to make it easier for you to make sure that you can dispute charges that occur on debit cards, to know exactly what the fees are going to be, and just other different ways that you can make sure that you're protected when all of a sudden you get your monthly statement and you see, wait, they're taking all these things out. For example, what do I mean? Well, let's say you get your debit card. Let's say you have $1,000 on your debit card. That's the amount of money that's in the bank that they allow you to use. Mm-hmm. Well, the moment you use your debit card, you already have what's called an activation fee. Did they tell you there was going to be an activation fee? Probably not. But now you've lost $25 or $30 from the card immediately because there's an activation fee. Every month, there's a processing fee. You get your statement, and all of a sudden you see they're taking out a certain amount because they're processing the transactions. Did you know that was even going to happen? And here's the kicker. Here's the real tough one. You go over your limit. Did anybody contact you when you were at the store to let you know that if you make this purchase, you're over your limit and you were going to be hit with interest? Probably not. Well, these are all things that the government wants to take a look at to make sure that the financial institutions are disclosing to you, so that you know that when you're getting a debit card that these fees come along.
Now, where does that stand now? Because I think a lot of Americans are saying, "Listen, we really need to focus on this."
The big one that has been passed. The legislation that's been passed that's preventing financial institutions from taking advantage is the notion that when you make a purchase and you go over the amount, sometimes you're making several purchases during the day. What financial institutions would do is they would put to your account the highest charge, so you were immediately over the limit, even though the two following purchases would have kept you under the $1,000. Do you understand?
Right.
So Congress says, no, you can't do that, okay? If it's all being done within the same processing time, and even within the same day in the processing cycle, you have to put the smallest charges first, so they don't go over the line. Do you understand?
Right.
And that was a big one. So Congress says you can't do that any longer. So this is very, very important for people to know that. Number two, especially the elderly, had they known that they were going to make a purchase that they would put them over the limit, they wouldn't make the purchase. So certain cards mandate that they have to call the store or whatever and let them know, look, this person is over the limit. Tell them before they make the purchase while they're at the counter. Because if they're at the counter, they might say, I don't want this item. I don't want to pay an extra $25 or $35 in a fee. It's usually a $35 fee if you go over the limit. I don't want a $35 charge. I don't need this. This item I'm purchasing is only $10. Why would I want to spend an extra $35? Please let me know if I'm over the limit. So that has to be done. And these are all things that the average Bronxite doesn't know when they use a debit card. So it's very, very important that if you're going to apply for a debit card, whether it's at a financial institution or at a store, wherever you get it, you say, what are the fees, the hidden fees? Do I have an activation card fee? How much is it? Do I have a monthly processing fee? What is it? What if I don't use my card for 6 months? Are you going to charge me another fee for not using it. Why don't you tell me what the fees are before I sign up? And if I go over my limit, what's the interest rate that you're going to charge me? And are you going to, by law, you can't charge, make sure that you put me over the limit quickly. You have to keep me under the limit. Are you going to do that? Sometimes the person who's selling you the card or the financial institution doesn't really know. We'll get the manager from the bank to let you know what the rules and the rates are. These are things very important. Now look, from the financial institution point of view, they say these are not gift cards. Gift cards, are better ways for the stores to make money. We can't do that. What do I mean? Well, they give you a gift card and you go into your local store. You can only use it at the store. The merchandise is already marked up to begin with. And when you're at the counter and you use the gift card and you only go up to a certain amount, what do? You take money out of your pocket and pay cash,
right,
and you go over and above. So the store makes a ton of money this way. That's why gift cards are so great for stores. It's a windfall. The financial institutions like Chase or whoever else gives a debit card says, we don't have this benefit. We have to make it up in fees, in activation fees, processing fees, the like. So you got to cut us a break. Congress is like, no, we can't cut you a break with certain things because we're putting the average consumer into debt. That's why we have these consumer protection law statutes, to protect the consumer, because if we don't, we end up further deepening our recession, which hopefully we're coming out of now. So these are all important things that you have to know.
Anything that the consumer can do, anything that I can do right now, considering the fact I am a debit card user to the max, is there anything that I could be doing right now, or what should I be paying attention to?
Well, what you should be paying attention to is what your debit limit is, and know exactly how far you're going, and let whoever issued you the card. Make sure that they know that you don't want to have to go over your limit, that if you think you're going to be over the limit, they should contact you. Or wherever you are and you're using it as a purchase or whatever you're using it for, you say you want this institution to decline the card if you get to that limit. Because believe it or not, like I said, it could be a $10, $15 purchase at Duane Reade or wherever you are, and yet they're going to charge you $35 because you're $1 over the limit. Well,
right.
You may not want to make that charge.
That's a $36 purchase.
It's not worth it. So you say you want the financial institution to contact the store and say, no, he's over his limit, decline. And give you the opportunity to say, I want to do it.
Right.
So that's that's really the biggest thing that people don't understand. But look, there's always the Better Business Bureau. If you find that, wherever you're getting your card from, and I have a list of a couple of prepaid credit card abusers in the past, Green Dot Visa prepaid card, Millennium Advantage prepaid MasterCard, Walmart Money Card. These have been some prepaid card abusers in the past that law enforcement has been looking out after to make sure that
they're not doing anything unscrupulous.
So there are cards out here. I'm not even listing half of them. There are many of them out there. Make sure that your card is not one of the culprits. Go on the net. Go on, Google the card. See if what people are saying, because you may want to switch. The fees may be too high. The only one who's going to look out for you as a consumer is you. The Better Business Bureau will look out for you if you contact them and you find out whether your debit card is on the list of abusers. But it's a tough economy, and companies are trying to do anything they can to make up for money that they're losing in other areas of their business. And one way is activation fees, processing fees, putting you over the limit quicker than later. So it's up to you, right? Who else is going to look out for you but you as the consumer? You have to do it. So Congress tries, but you have to know that if you don't do the research on your debit card and what the history is, no one else is going to do it for you.
Nobody's going to, and so you have to take those proactive steps.
Take proactive steps yourself.
So in essence, it's best for a person to really pay good attention to your statements that you get every month,
exactly right,
as opposed to just letting them ride.
It's your monthly statement. Look at your monthly statement. Most people don't. They just send the check in, or they just comes out of your bank account. Well, take a look at what the fees are you being charged. Because if you go into the bank and say, I want these erased, I want these lowered, they may do that for you. But if you don't look, then you're not really going to know. But there are some things by statute that they can't charge you for. Right. And those are the things that you have to make sure.
So now these laws that the Congress are looking into, any ideas when these things will pass over?
Well, some of them are already passed already, making sure that they can't, force you over your limit. These are very important things. But in terms of making sure the interest rates are lower, there's not much Congress is going to do about that. They've already lowered the amount the most that they can charge. They're not going to go higher than that. We discussed that a couple of weeks ago with respect to the credit card laws. They can't protect you much further than that at this point because they do want to give you purchasing power. And consumer confidence is what drives the economy. So that's very, very important. But at the same time, when it comes to protecting your wallet and making these purchases, you've got to be very, very careful. It's the same, with credit cards, the big things were the interest rates. People don't understand that when you have a debit card, that when you go over that limit, you're going to have an interest rate as well. It's going to be the same interest rate. And they don't understand that. It's the same thing. And yes, we want to make sure that it's the power of the consumer, that you purchase things, because that gets the economy back where it's going. But we don't want you in debt. We don't want you taking money out of your home. That's how we ended up having foreclosures, because people were taking equity loans and taking them out. We need to make sure that you purchase, but you purchase within your own means, and that's what this whole contractual obligation series is about. It's protecting yourself from your purchases, but also giving back into the economy as well.
D.O., good stuff, man.
Thank you.